Everyone in the village used to make fun of Percy. He did very silly things, and got into trouble constantly. Once he had to carry a large basket of butter to Mrs. Goodwin. He carried it in a basket on his head. On the way he kept wondering why he was sweating so much. When he put the basket down, he found it was empty. The sun had melted the butter completely and had poured down his face in streams. He got a sound scolding from Mrs. Goodwin. However, since he spent most of the day loafing around, someone was sure to find some work for him always. One day, Mrs. Rogers sent him to fetch a pig that Farmer Lane had kept for her. Percy soon returned, but instead of a pig, he was leading Farmer Lane himself. The farmer was looking furious. Mrs. Rogers chased Percy with a broom right out of her house. Percy ran and ran till he was clear of the village. He decided it was best for him to stay away till things had cooled down a bit. He walked along till he was tired. Then he sat down in the shade of a tree to rest and soon fell asleep. On the tree lived a little imp who could do magical things. But he was very naughty. He saw Percy sleeping under the tree and wondered what new mischief he could create. Suddenly, the princess' carriage appeared along the road. The imp decided that he would play a trick on the princess. Making himself invisible, he showered a little sparkling magic dust on the princess. She became entranced by everything around her and asked the coachman to stop the carriage. She peeped out and saw Mercy sleeping under the tree and thought he looked like a prince. She told the coachman and the footman to pick him up and put him in the carriage. They obeyed her promptly. The carriage went off to the palace, with the imp sitting gleefully on the roof. Percy woke up in the palace. With the princess giving him lots of care, he began to believe he was actually a handsome prince. The princess decided to marry him, and the king and the queen had a great ball to celebrate the wedding. Everyone in the kingdom was invited. Imagine the surprise of Mrs. Goodwin and Mrs. Rogers when they saw the princess and Percy the prince. Since he didn't have to work anymore, there's no trouble in the palace.